Happy Monday morning, Jumpstart writers, business people, not writers. We are on our third installment of what it means to be a business person as a writer. So happy Monday, Ted.
Happy Monday.
Okay, so we've covered culture, connection, all in one. We've covered systems and techniques. And to quote Meatloaf, I said, I love you, but I lied. We are changing gear. We're going to talk about sales, but we think finance fits better before we get into the sales conversation, right?
Yeah.
So what should people be looking at when it comes to finance? And is it their business finance? Is it their personal finance? What is it?
Well, you decided to be a solopreneur and entrepreneur. They just got mixed up. So this is a complex one, but we just want to touch on a couple of things with the finance. Look, at the end of the day, you loved writing. You saw it as a vehicle to make money. But if you're in business, like which is what Jade and I are presenting here these last couple of weeks, you're a business person. Mm-hmm. You are here to generate revenue and to make money and to build a life for your loved ones and yourself and reach goals and all the rest of that. And so the money one is a very complex one, but there's a couple things. There's an emotional part. That's why I kind of giggled when you said, are we talking about the business one, the personal one? When you are a solopreneur or a small entrepreneur, they become mixed very quickly. And I'll get to the practical side of that in a minute. But emotionally, we have to slow down. And there's a couple things I always say that I want people to consider when thinking about money. And the first one is, what is your relationship with money? Right? Is it a healthy one? You know? Are you very insecure about money? Because that manifests itself in the ways that you approach business very differently. So Jade talked a couple of weeks ago about the person that is very concerned about being liked and will take any client, even though it's not a cultural match. That may be an examination of your relationship with money. You have to start thinking about, I want to grab every piece and what's most important and all the rest of that. The second thing I want you to start to consider about money is, do you have a real plan that includes a realistic revenue goal? So, you know, a lot of people go in, they say they want to make six figures, or they say some outlandish money. I'm going to go become a millionaire. They think entrepreneurship equals millionaire. Like that's not true, right? And so I want you to start to consider these things, because finance as a business person is complex, right? But does not have to be. I actually think you can simplify this by getting right from the onset of saying, hey, year number one, I want to make X amount of money, and this is realistic. And then you can start to plan about it. You talk about system and techniques. If you don't have system and techniques to support a revenue goal, that's where you'd go and be better able to answer the question that I pose, which is, what do you need? Mm-hmm. Right? So I want you to be thinking about this. But money is something voodoo. You know, and we don't talk about it enough. I will simply say that, like, if you had any lesson, I would be to slow down and get very real with yourself about your relationship with money. Do you have a real financial plan? Now, let me bring this into, that's the emotional piece, bring it into the very practical. Mm-hmm. You need to start to understand, because you've mashed your stuff together. For example, I'm a solopreneur. Every year, my tax accountant or my accountant starts talking to me about, there's personal taxes I pay, and there's quarterly estimated taxes that I pay. The first year in business, I didn't pay any quarterly estimated taxes until I had a lunch with a friend of mine who happened to be a financial advisor, and like, you haven't paid any quarterly taxes yet? You need to go see an accountant. So here I go again, back to what I said a couple weeks ago. This is why we need you thinking as a business person, because there's certain things that I don't want to, first of all, let me slow down for a second. Don't get overwhelmed. Because the one thing that I did learn about solopreneurship and entrepreneurship is it was nowhere near as complex as what I thought it was. Mm-hmm. But you do have to slow down and educate yourself, get curious with people. Back to the connection piece, that first pillar, you have to make the right connections with people and relations with people that can answer your questions.
Yes.
I needed help in this finance bucket. Mm-hmm. I absolutely needed help. And it's one of the connections that I have, that I outsource my bookkeeping and my taxes and all of that. I have revenue goal, but I outsource all that. But that's the person that I go to that answers all the questions that I have, depending on what kind of business you are. Are you a sole proprietorship? Are you an LLC? Are you an S Corp? I'm an S Corp. We write distribution checks. When can I write them? How can I write them? Because now, to Jade's point, our personal and our business finances are interconnected.
Mm-hmm.
The money that I make through my business feeds my family.
Mm-hmm.
So in any event, as a business person, you have to consider this both on the personal and emotional side and come up with realistic goals for yourself and all the rest of it. And then there's the practical side of this. And I bring this up not to overwhelm people, because sometimes people will take it there and go, man, there's so much to think about. It's not as complex as you think, but it'd be naive of you to just jump into business and go, hey, I'm going to go write something. I'm going to get paid. I'm going to put this in my bank account and simply spend it as that wouldn't be wise.
So two questions for you. First off, I think I know this, and this is money 101 Jade testing. When you're talking about the quarterly tax payments, that's because when you get a check from a client, the taxes have not been deducted from that. So if you don't make those quarterly payments at the end of the tax year, you have a big old lump sum that you have to pay, right? Okay. So for everyone,
we're not going to go deep in the weeds, but it's important to note. It's important to note what Jade said, because that's the type of thing that we're just trying to get you to slow down and think about, because Jade is absolutely correct. When you get a check from a client, there are no taxes being paid. Depending on your income level, there is a requirement that you actually pay. It's even bigger than what Jade said, like, hey, you don't want this one big lump sum. But if you're in a certain range, it's actually required that you pay in quarterly. And if you don't, there's a penalty. If you don't, there's a penalty, depending on how you classify yourself as a business. So these are things that you do have to inquire about. And you have to learn about. And that's why this finance piece, you are a business person now, and you are going to generate revenue. Listen to the business language that I'm using. You're going to be, you're not just getting a check. It can feel great to get a check made out to Jade Trueblood. However, that's really a business check. And now your business is essentially paying you, which is pretty cool, by the way.
Yeah, I do. I like, because I also think the reason why that's important is because it helps with setting the goals, right? Of what you want, knowing that a $1,500 check might only be $1,000 into your business account, and then $500 to you, or whatever structured things, right? But I would love to leave today, Ted, and have almost like a takeaway, but a little bit of a different stance in it today. For you, what does it look like, and how do you know when somebody has a healthy relationship with money and finances? What does that look like to you?
Well, they get crystal clear on goals that mean something that line up with number one, which is their values, right? So the healthy relationship, for me, there's two pockets that I always find people, and I'm in the second one. I'll explain that. One, and this is probably because of their life experience, but they grew up and they're just they spend, and they don't value money, and they don't understand what money can really give them as far as fulfillment, future, and all the rest of that. And then there's people that are very insecure about money. Now, both of these manifest themselves in ways that I think can be damaging, right? So you can overspend in business, think that you're making all this money, haven't paid taxes. This is a very common thing. You don't value money. You think like it's infinite, and that's just the way. And then there's the very insecure about money, right? The insecure piece, I do think, prohibits you from finding fulfillment with money and being able to enjoy the money and the rest of that. And you have to do it. Now, my wife checks me on that all the time. Like, you have to enjoy, and we have a whole thing. But you have to explore that, because the important thing, the deeper end of the pool here, is that your relationship with money is going to manifest itself in how you operate your business and how you present yourself to certain clients. Believe me, if you're just a money hungry person that doesn't really value money and doesn't understand why you want to go make money, your clients will sniff you out. Trust me on that. But if you're insecure about money and all the rest of this, and again, I'm just giving examples of how this manifests itself, you may never get paid your true value.
Yes.
Because you don't understand, like, you're going to charge $500 for something that really should cost $1,500, because you're so insecure about money, and you just want to make sure that some level of money's coming in. That's what I mean by this relationship with money. And I know that's the deeper end of the pool, but we have to consider this, because it will manifest itself, and that's will be how you present yourself and how you run your business. Yeah.
Okay, so we're harnessing people on the other side to have confidence with money, to have enjoyment with money, to have goals that tie to their values when it comes to money, and especially for those that are replacing an income, to know what those numbers are before you make that jump and make that leap and have that.
And then the practical side.
Yeah.
Which is I'll give you, let me just end with this.
Yeah.
Because I remember, when people, before I got into business and somebody would say accountant or wealth advisor, I'd be like, oh God, like, they must make a lot of money because they need an accountant. You could have somebody, I just want to level set with everybody because this is important. You could have an accountant in your corner for 50 or $100 a month.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
It's not this big thing. They'll keep your books, income in, income out. They'll let you know. They set you up a payroll company. And I'm putting this out very openly. I have a payroll company that pays Ted Capshaw and Associates and cuts a wife for my check and cuts a. It's $42 a month.
Yeah.
So I'm putting that out very openly to say, don't take the stuff this is practical stuff, but you got to go find out and educate yourself. I had narratives in my head that this stuff was way more complex and way more costly, and it's not.
Yeah. You can do it. You can do it. So Ted is telling you. Awesome. So next week, I promise you, we will get into sales and we'll talk about what that looks like for you in the sales of your business and what you need there. So Ted, thank you so much great information, and we'll see everybody then.
See you.